Congratulations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street one day, a man came up to me and asked me what the time was that was on my watch. Yeah, I said, does anybody really know what time it is? Does anybody really care?
Dave is not. Oh, I turned your mic on. I heard you singing. Dave is not here today. It's Jay Morgan Harder and Brian Takis along with you. Dave will be back tomorrow, though. Brian, you know who sings this song?
Chicago.
It's Chicago.
Dave's a proud Chicagian.
And you know why Chicago's relevant today to us in Memphis?
Because the Grizzlies beat them last night.
Nailed it. And we're going to talk about that, obviously, as we should. A big night. Also a big night in the NBA for other reasons we'll talk about as well. LeBron James. But I don't think we're breaking that news to anybody. I think people probably already knew that before we got on the air today. I want to start in a weird place, Bryant, because this just came across my phone and it intrigues me.
Okay.
Keith Law, who ranks minor league farm systems in for the Athletic, he just did the top 20 prospects for the Cardinals. Take a guess at what number one is.
I would have to say it's Jordan Walker. I could probably
Jordan
guess the top
Walker.
5.
All right, go.
Jordan Walker's number 1.
Okay.
Mason Wynn's number 2.
Uh-huh. I need my belt.
Tink Hintz is 3. Gordon Graceffo is 4.
You had to slow down. Okay. Tink Hintz is 3. Yeah.
Gordon Graceffo's 4.
Yeah, but that's because you read what his top 150 was, so you know
top 100.
So you know
Okay,
the order
well,
he had
I'll
on
go
there.
5 through.
No, just give me 5.
Matthew Liberatore.
That's terrible.
Number
That
6.
guy stinks. How is
Ivan Herrera.
you know? Yeah, that's right.
Number 7. Alec Burleson.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy?
Number 8. Joshua Baez.
Yeah, that's right.
Number 9. Michael McGreevy.
Yeah.
10. Connor Jerpy. Wow.
Is that how you say that guy's name?
Jerpy, yeah.
Hmm.
Did I
That's
just
so
nail
dumb.
that?
You nailed it.
Off the top of my
You
head.
did it. That's
I
crazy.
didn't have the list pulled up.
It's
in front of me.
crazy. Matt Liberatore, he says just missed his top 100. Stupid. It's
Just
crazy
missed.
that this
after
guy's,
being one of the top pitching prospects in MLB.
so went down in the Cardinals ranking prospects.
he was number 1
stupid
for
It's
the
like-
last 2 years.
It's like when
Jordan Walker was number 2 last year.
It's like when what's the guy's name that was always hurt? Anthony.
Rizzo.
No, Alex Reyes.
Yes.
Anthony Reyes is another Cardinals pitcher from yesteryear.
that's
Alex Reyes, though, was the top prospect in the Cardinals organization for like 10 years, it seemed like, because he was always hurt. And so
and then when he would play, there'd be that little twinkle.
Exactly.
There'd be a second where he'd be pumping heat, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is the future."
we would see his skill and his potential, and so he was always like on the precipice of being the guy, and so he never was, and I feel like that's the Liberatore situation because he got hurt at a certain point last year, didn't he?
Yeah,
he
but
was
even
he was terrible when he was out there.
Yeah, even when Liberatore, I used to be so high.
I was about to
Libby,
say, and you've switched,
and I just don't see him. If he's a starting pitcher, he's back of the rotation, and then I don't even know if he's a starting pitcher. He just really seems like a bullpen guy right now. Just hadn't done anything. But, I mean, he's still young. He's got time. And also, he's one of those guys, I don't want to put too much pressure on him yet, because he's one of those guys that really got his development got hampered because of COVID.
Will Jordan Walker be in Memphis?
Yes.
Will Mason win?
I think so. Tink Hintz won't start in Memphis, I don't think.
Double-A?
I think he'll start in Double-A because he was in Single-A last year.
What about Graceffo?
Graceffo, he'll either start in
He's
Memphis.
23.
Yeah, he'll probably start in Memphis.
Where will Liberatore start?
Huh.
St. Louis?
I think he'll be in St. Louis.
That's a shame. That's not good.
Yeah.
They just don't have any pitching.
They don't have any pitching. So
Ivan
he'll be
Herrera,
a
he's
fifth guy.
in Memphis, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Ivan will be in Memphis. Ivan down the stretch last year got a little run with the Cardinals.
That's what I'm reading right here. I wonder if he'll be on.
And I thought he was good. I thought he did some good things, but
they're not going to make him a backup catcher. They were going to have him play. They would have him play every day in Memphis.
They'd have him be there every day in Memphis because you're not going to
You're going to have a veteran be like a backup catcher usually.
Kisner's going to be the backup, which Kisner's not happy right now.
Why? Because
Andrew Kisner,
he
thought he was going to be the starter.
Oh, I love it.
There was an interview where
Kisner's good, though. The
Kisner's
Cardinals
good.
have been loaded at backup catcher. Who's the guy they traded to the – it's not baseball season, so my brain's not good. Who's the guy they traded to the D-backs, the catcher that was behind Yachty for so many years? I'll look it up.
I don't even know.
Diamondbacks. Filibuster for me.
Well, because so they brought Contreras in.
Carson Kelly.
Carson Kelly, that's right.
And they wanted him to be the guy, but then Yachty played too long.
Yeah, Yachty played too long. But Kisner, they did an interview with him probably about a month ago, and he was like, yeah, I learned a lot from Yachty, and, I've been kind of sitting here, and I've been producing, and, I really thought that I was going to be able to get the opportunity to be the starting catcher after Yachty retired.
He put his voice to this.
Yeah, and then he was like, but it was kind of like a compliment sandwich where he was like, yeah, I'm mad about it, but also, Contreras, he's a great player. We're going to be better with him in the lineup, stuff like that. So one of those.
Gordon
deals.
Graceffa says he works 93 to 98.
Yeah, he's Graceffa. I heard somebody saying the other day that Memphis, the prospects that are probably going to be in Memphis this year, but the prospects that the Cardinals have right now are the best they've had in years, and that Graceffa, Tink Hintz, those are both guys that could be starters in the next couple of years.
That's what they always say, though.
Tink Hintz is young, though. Tink Hintz is only like 21, isn't he?
I hate prospect talking baseball, too.
Love it.
I know you do. Because you were so excited about prospects, and we were talking about last year, was it the trade deadline, or at some point we were talking about trading guys, and you were like, well, we can't trade that guy. He's too promising. The prospects are never as valuable as they are when they're prospects.
I also covered the Redbirds for
the
a
Birds.
whole year, so
you have
I like these guys
famously in the circles that I run around with, and not even all the circles, just circles that care about baseball.
Mm-hmm.
My dad used to work for the Cardinals in Memphis.
Yes.
Thank you for
reassuring.
Yeah, that's right. It's true.
That's right. You've mentioned that before.
When I was a kid, though, Joe Mather was a prospect for. You might not even know who Joe Mather is.
Before my time.
Yeah, barely. Honestly,
Yeah.
He was around when you were a Rangers fan still in 2011.
Yes.
Joe Mather got called up, and he had a really good month. 40-day stretch with the Cardinals or something like that. I'm like, this guy is for real, man. I've seen him in Memphis. He hit 360 in Memphis. This guy's gonna hit bombs. He's gonna do a great job. Never heard of Joe Mather again.
Nope.
So I've also fallen prey to it, but I learned before you, and that way I was able to ridicule you when you didn't want to trade prospects for other good players.
Yeah, let's not talk about the good player I didn't want to trade for.
I can't remember who it was.
Juan Soto.
Oh, that's right. I wouldn't give. But it was like
it wasn't that. It was I wouldn't give all those. I mean, that seems like a lot.
I think I said that Jordan Walker was the one that I would say, okay, we could protect Jordan Walker in that case. And I was like, give up Liberatore. He's terrible. Maybe you were out on Liberatore at that point.
I think I might have been out. It was somebody
Mason
else.
Wynn was announced in that deal.
Mason Wynn. Might have been Tink Hintz, too, or maybe Gordon Graceffa. I think it was one of those other pitchers.
Other guys that I had never heard of.
Yeah, and I was like, I don't want to give up Graceffa.
Joshua Baez, any relation to Javi Baez?
I don't think so. I think they're both middle infielders, though. No, Joshua Baez is an outfielder. Yeah.
20 years old. All right, that's enough baseball talk, but that's relevant to Memphis. We're in the farm system of the Cardinals.
I think it's going to be a big year.
People can't say I'm not talking local sports.
Except, some people are saying Jordan Walker might skip Memphis.
But that's much more common today.
It is, but I don't think he will. But they're saying, especially since WBC is going on this year, World Baseball Classic, that a lot of those guys aren't going to be there, so he'll get more action spring training, and that he might be able to impress.
Tommy Edman skipped Memphis, didn't he? Or he was here for a very short stint of time.
Yeah, but they just moved Jordan Walker to the outfield middle of last year, so I think they need to give him a little time in AAA.
I was about to say, when I saw him in outfield, I thought he played the same position as Mason when they moved him because of Mason Wynn.
No.
Yeah, so Tommy only had 50 games, less than 50 games in Memphis.
Yeah, no, so Jordan Walker is a third baseman.
Played 120 in Springfield.
Wow. But they moved Jordan Walker from third to outfield because you're not going to play over Nolan Arenado.
Why not?
Because he's
really good.
He's really good, and he's an all-star.
Interesting.
And then they also moved. Who's the other prospect from last year? Again, not in baseball season, so my mind's
I'm with you on that one.
Bluff. They moved him to second. He played second for the Cardinals last year. They moved Tommy to short, and they moved this guy up.
The
rookie.
Why'd you do that to me? I'm looking it up. Hang on.
But whatever, he was the third baseman as well.
Right.
And they moved him to second.
You said that they should cut Tommy.
I did not. Those words never came out of
not
my
cut
mouth.
Tommy, but they should bench him or trade him because
Again,
no,
words never
it is
came out of my
because you
mouth.
wanted to make room for Brendan Donovan or Nolan
That's
Gorman.
Not true.
It was Nolan Gorman.
There we go, because they moved him to second.
And Nolan Gorman wasn't his glove terrible?
His glove's awful, but his bat's hot. That's enough baseball talk.
Yeah, someone actually texted in enough baseball.
That's fine.
I'm gonna be respectful.
We did talk about baseball.
The Grizzlies played last night. They beat the Bulls for their first win in 3 games, but getting off the schneid, as it were. They were like 1-8 in their last 9 games going into that game. Get a win last night. Bulls off a back-to-back, but a win that the Grizzlies much needed. Biggest takeaway from the game. Go.
I thought the third quarter was bad. They led by 10 at halftime. Third quarter, they got outscored 36-23, but we've kind of seen those late game woes be an issue for the Grizzlies. That didn't seem to be a problem last night, so that was good to see, being able to close out a game and win one like that. They were.
Levine played 40 minutes after playing a back-to-back. Desunu played 38. Vucevic played 38.
No, I mean, they
both got off, though.
Yeah, they leaned on their starters extremely heavy.
Jaren had 24. He hit back-to-back threes. Was that the fourth quarter or the third quarter? It was at some point in the second half.
Fourth quarter.
Ja also made some threes last night in a big way. Desmond Bane played really well. You know, Desmond Bane has been the best three-point shooter in the league since the turn of the calendar.
Really?
Shooting 51% from three since January 1st. That's the only player in the league over 50%, and also the best in the league. Wow. I mean, that's incredible.
No,
you think about the mark for guys is 50, 40, 90, and obviously a 2-month stretch is not a season, but that's incredible. To be to over 50% guy from three, you're a 50-50, 90 guy at that point. That's unbelievable.
Well, and you talked about Ja making some big threes. There were some times where the Bulls would kind of get on a run, the Grizzlies would be up, and they'd kind of cut into the lead, and then Ja would hit a big three to kind of keep that lead, or maybe the Grizzlies were on a cold spell and couldn't really get a shot to fall, and Ja would come down and hit a three. I thought he played well last night, especially shooting from three.
He did.
4 for 6.
He did. Last 8 games, this is something that Rob Fisher mentioned on Sports Time yesterday with you and I. Opponents shooting 48% in the last 8 games, including last night. Against the Grizzlies, opponents are shooting 48% in their last 8 games. These are I choose 8 because that's how long Steven Adams has been out.
Yeah.
And people, I'm not sure people necessarily equate value to him outside of offensive rebounds, but he matters on defense too. And it's namely in this stat, opponents are shooting 48% against the Grizzlies the last 8 games. That's 15th in the league. Shooting 38% from three, that's 19th in the league, the Grizzlies would be. And they're 21st in the league in opponents' rebounds and opponents' offensive rebounds with 44 rebounds and 11 offensive rebounds per game. I thought the Grizzlies, that was a terrible win. Awful win. I'll read some stats that make that case for me. Second chance points, the Bulls had 20. The Grizzlies had 9. They were out-rebounded on offense 11-5, 49-39 for the game. A win's a win, especially when you're 1-8 in your last 9 games. But these are the things that are making you lose the games over that stretch, and they did not improve upon those last night. What they got is the Bulls, which are one of the worst shooting teams from three in the league, shoot 20% from three and shoot 36.8 for the game. Now, the Grizzlies contribute to that, obviously. Dylan Brooks started on Zach LaVine and played, I thought, excellent defense on Zach LaVine. Yeah. LaVine didn't even get going until the second half, and he had to do so getting fouled and getting to the free throw line where he was 10 for 17. But not a good game for the Grizzlies. If you continue to play this way, you're going to lose more than you win, especially while Steven Adams is out. Positives, though, Ja had 34, like we said. Bane had 17. Jaren had 24. I would like to address now, one more thing, too. Vooch, 17 double-doubles in his last 19 games.
And it was early, too.
He had, in the third quarter, he had 17 rebounds, 6 assists, and 28 points. That guy's a good player, Brian.
He's a really good player.
33 double-doubles this year, but 17 in his last 19 games. That's an unbelievable mark.
Incredible. I was just going to say, though, that while you pointed out a lot of the bad things.
Give me a positive.
Spin Street.
Let me do Spin Street. This is a new segment, Brian.
We still have to pitch it to Brett. We haven't pitched it to Brett yet. But
we could do it whenever we want.
In this situation, I don't think there's such thing as a bad win for the Grizzlies. Win a game.
Fair enough.
So that's my spin.
I like that spin. No, a win's a win. And first of all, in the win and loss column, a win is a win.
Sure.
But we're talking about things that need to be addressed going forward, especially with Steven Adams out.
But don't you think that part of
not
it
a good win
is just kind of that, oh, man, we just can't catch a break. We can't win a game.
It's true.
Part of that problem is, hey, if we can win a game, maybe we can get some momentum going, some energy, some positivity in the locker room. And so I think that's part of it. I mean, you're right. There are a lot of issues. I just don't know how they're going to fix those issues with Steven Adams on the bench.
More than fair. It's like the old hitting is contagious and not hitting is contagious. Once you're in a strand of losing, it's hard to win at that point. And just getting a win could fix a lot of problems or at least change your mindset to get more wins. More than fair argument. I'm just going through the stat sheet here and what I saw in the game. And the rebounding, which has been an issue, I think will continue to be an issue. They did force 20 turnovers, though. Which is big, and had 18 points off of those turnovers to the Bulls 8. But the second chance points, 20-9. It's
becoming an issue.
I mean, that's a huge problem. You're not going to win games losing, and got beat in fast break points too. Another element of their game where they're really good. And the Bulls spent a half not even pushing the ball in fast break, but the Bulls beat them in fast break points 18-13 last night. Not a huge margin, but a concerning number nonetheless. Those are hustle stats right there, and so it's concerning to me to lose those. Now the elephant in the room. You ready for the elephant?
I'm ready.
Not calling anyone fat though. Elephant in the room. Dylan Brooks getting booed last night in the third quarter because he missed an open three.
1 for 6.
2 for 12, not a good number, and he got booed when he missed an open three, literally booed running down the court, and then he got booed again when he checked in later in the game. I feel like I might go on a diatribe and a tangent saying this, so I want to hear your thoughts on it first. Do you care? This is a segment from Cheap Seats. Do you care that Dylan Brooks was booed last night?
I mean, I don't like it. I think it can obviously mess with a player.
Contract year.
Especially that.
But if you're booing Dylan Brooks, you don't value him to the team anyway.
And you haven't. I mean, last night's performance didn't change your opinion that drastically to just start booing him. Everyone has their opinion on Dylan one way or the other. Did you see his comments after the game?
Yeah, he cursed in them.
He did.
So I'm booed in every arena. Why not this one,
Why not this one? Might as well get booed in Memphis. And he said at home, and then he changed it very quickly and said in Memphis, which I thought was almost more telling than the quote itself. But I did like that Ja came to defend him. It seemed like all of his teammates came to defend him. But that can mess with a player. I mean, as much as
these guys that play basketball at the highest level and obviously have the highest level understanding of the sport itself understand his value to the team.
Absolutely.
They're not the ones that we're worried about.
But I'm not a fan of booing your own player in any sense, but I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I could go on forever on this one. I mean, Dylan Brooks' value to this team defensively. I watched the Bulls broadcast last night, and they even said at the beginning of the game that Dylan Brooks is the best defender on the team.
And
that's also not an opinion, by the way. Mm-hmm. If you disagree with it, you're wrong. Yeah. Dylan Brooks is the best defender on the team, bar none. He guards the best player every night, whether it's Pascal Siakam or Zion Williamson playing the 4-5, or whether it's Zach LaVine playing the 2, or the 1, even you could argue last night.
And this is a dumb question, but I do.
There are no stupid
ask
questions,
you this
Brian,
because I do think it gets overlooked by even when I'm watching the game. I mean, you're being a basketball coach in the past, and you watch all these games, all NBA games, really. I mean, how hard is that to guard, no matter what position, the best player on the opposing team on a nightly basis, and going from guarding a Steph Curry to guarding a Pascal Siakam?
Incredibly difficult. Yeah. And it's a vital role. And while I do value Jaren, last night, some of his blocks coming from help, once he jumped past a defender and recovered to block a shot, but all his blocks, even from help, are incredible. He is an unbelievable rim protector, one of the best ones the sport has ever seen.
Yeah.
He is so dadgum good at that. But what Dylan Brooks does on defense is so much more valuable because you can live without blocking shots. It does affect the game. It's very important, and Jaren's incredible at it, but it's also not vital. If you stay disciplined and play good defense and don't leave your feet, you can also limit guys shooting. Credit to Dylan Brooks last night because it saw Zach LaVine shoot 6 of 13 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3, and a lot of those are contested by Dylan Brooks on the three-point line. So what he does on a nightly basis is so valuable valuable. And it's honestly the same people that would say they love Tony Allen that are booing Dylan Brooks last night. Like, what are you doing? Dylan Brooks is unbelievable from 2. I understand you're booing because he went 1 of 6 from 3 last night, but Dylan Brooks is so much more valuable on the offensive end than Tony Allen ever was, and he's probably just as good a defender. He doesn't get as many steals numbers because he doesn't have the length, but on the ball, Dylan Brooks is just as good on the ball defending as Tony Allen ever was. And it's the same people that are cheering for Tony Allen that think Jaren Jackson should win the award for the best defender in the NBA that are booing Dylan Brooks and don't value what he does. And what I would say to those is, you don't know what you're watching. Point blank, period. Find a new sport to watch, quite frankly. I mean, that might be a little extreme. I don't mean to say it like that. But seriously.
That's why we talked baseball to start the show. If you can get into baseball.
Yeah, if you're going to boo Jaren, though, I mean, if you're going to boo Dylan Brooks and cheer for Jaren in terms of you think he's the best defender, then quite frankly, you're not paying attention to what you're watching. Jaren's guarding the worst defender on the floor every night. Dylan Brooks is guarding the best. And for that reason alone, you should be cheering. You don't boo when Jaren goes 0 for 5 from 3 and scores 9 points on a given night because he had 4 blocks, and you looked at your stat sheet and you're like, wow, look at those blocks. What Dylan Brooks does on defense doesn't show up in the stat sheet. You just have to watch the game and pay attention. It's not rocket science. I would just implore people to pay a little more attention to what you're watching and value what Dylan Brooks does a little bit more.
Well, and that's the biggest part of it is that Dylan isn't going to block shots. He finished with 2 steals last night, but he is going to just, like you said, I mean, he's going to limit guys. Guys are going to have a rough day at the office the entire night. And that stuff, I mean, people don't see that stuff in the stat sheet, and it's hard to kind of see unless you're really just watching for it. Every possession. So, I mean, that's the biggest part of it. When you see Jaren, which, love Jaren, does a great job, but you see these highlight blocks. You see the block shots, the steals, the everything. So I think that's the biggest thing of it is you just don't see what Dylan Brooks is bringing on the stat sheet.
He earns the right to go take a couple of shots. He might not make a lot every night. He earns that right to take shots on the other end. He's a great defender, the best one on the team, and it's the same people that are inconsistent about watching that think Jaren's the best defender to ever live and would boo Dylan Brooks. I have a huge problem with that. I think be more consistent and pay attention. Brett Norsworthy next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
With winter arriving, we start to think about spirit, and I've got the spirit I think about. It's from Old Dominick. You know Old Dominick? That is our hometown distillery, right in the heart of downtown. Old Dominick, by the way, gives full distillery tours with curated tastings. There's craft cocktails. It is really a neat place to go. So when you're looking for something to do downtown, something a little different, I suggest you go see my friends at Old Dominick. The other aspect about Old Dominick is the product itself. What a great spirit that they have just finally released. So they have this master distiller. Her name is Alex Castle. She won't let anything be released until it's perfect. We've been waiting a long time for 2 whiskeys. One's a sipping, the other is bottle in bond. They are incredible. It took a long time, but Old Dominick has finally released those 2 whiskeys. You will love the spirit at Old Dominick.
When someone says, let's meet at the bar, what they mean is, let's meet at Bell Tavern. They sure don't mean, let's meet at a chain where it's loud, impersonal, and the food consists of things that were frozen a minute before you ordered it. No, they mean, let's meet at Bell Tavern, because Bell Tavern is the opposite of those things. Bell Tavern is where you go to have a conversation, maybe make some new friends, and have the best bar food in Memphis. The next time you want to have a drink and spend some quality time in a bar, the only place to meet is Bell Tavern.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Wendy's home-style French toast sticks are so delicious, some are saying that they're better than their mom's breakfast.
Excuse me. Did you just say Wendy's French toast sticks are better than my breakfast?
Mom, is that you?
Answer the question.
I said some people are saying that because they're so crispy on the outside and fluffy on the inside and perfect in every way.
Uh-huh. And what do you think?
I think it's time to tell people to choose wisely. Choose Wendy's sweet and crispy home-style French toast sticks.
That's still not an answer.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Hi, everybody. Greg Gaston for FanDuel. Add a little excitement to your sports watching experience by betting on all the action on FanDuel Sportsbook. There's a reason why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. Their app is simple to use. They've got great odds on all different betting markets, unique fun bet types like same-game parlays, and exclusive always-on promotions such as enhanced odds boosts on the biggest events that let you get more action out of every game day. And if you win, they even get you your winnings safely in as little as 24 hours. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started, and be sure to sign up with promo code GASMAN so they know I sent you. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code GASMAN. Must be 21 or over and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit is required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions do apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
No Dave today. He'll be back tomorrow. He's in Tampa, Florida, getting ready for this Tiger game. Brian and I'll talk a little more about that later. But right now, we have the treat of being joined by one of the hosts, along with Brian Takis, of Sports Time with on Sports 56 from 3 to 6 every day. You can hear him. Brett Norsworthy joining us now. And we're going to talk a little bit about SEC basketball. But before we do, Brett, Kevin Steele is back in the state of Alabama, hired as a coordinator there. What do you think of Kevin Steele's, the history of him coaching? Is this a good fit with, I guess everybody's a good fit with Saban. What do you think about the defensive coordinator hire there?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And Jay Morgan, great job for you guys yesterday. I can't wait to be back this afternoon in the saddle. Kevin Steele is just one of those seasoned old hands. He's almost like that veteran political operative you bring in kind of after the convention but before the fall election to kind of get things worked out. You trust the candidate, Nick Saban. You trust the apparatchiks around him, all the volunteers and all the workers and stuff. But you need a little spicing up of things. I love the hire. I love the outgoing guy. I love Pete Golding, and I think he would do a great job at Ole Miss. It was just kind of time. And that seasoned old hand. Now it got a little uncomfortable with the swings and misses on both sides, offense and defense. But they're going to work for the all-timer. They're probably going to be his last coordinating hires. Kevin Steele on defense and Tommy Reese on offense. But I like the Steele hire. I remember him well as a player at Tennessee. He was a tough player, linebacker, fill the gap, just knock the snot out of somebody. And he's kind of been like that as a coach. I say this admiringly, lovingly. And you can get the video, go to YouTube and find the video. He may have been coordinator, but I think he was head coach of the Carolina Panthers, maybe even interim, and had a celebrated sideline incident with Kevin Green, and they get toe-to-toe. First of all, you get toe-to-toe with Kevin Green, you're either nuts or tough or maybe both, because we know Kevin Green was a bad dude. But Kevin Steele's a good coach, been around the block. Coach Saban knows he can trust him. And I think it's the basics, the very basics, alignment, tackling, group tackling, playing hard, being tough. Kevin Steele fits the bill.
It's a heated discussion. Grabbing the coach by his clothing is what it says with Kevin Green. Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Let me tell you, I would run as fast as I could from Kevin Green because he was the late Kevin Green. Sadly, he was a tough guy, but that's competition. You know that, Jay Morgan. Sometimes what the cameras catch, what they don't catch a lot of times is the real good stuff. But then on the offensive side for Tommy Reese, for Bama, they really have to be wondering. You go down what Notre Dame scored last year. You go to opening game last year, opening night of the year. if they have a pulse, they beat Ohio State at the shoe.
Yeah. You mentioned that tough. He's either tough or crazy. I think those are both on my checklist for a defensive coordinator. You want a little bit of both of that. But talking about kind of both of these coordinator changes, and obviously they're going to have to replace the starting quarterback and replace kind of a lot on both sides of the field. I know it's still early. We haven't even gotten to summer yet. But kind of what is your early realistic expectation of this Alabama team this year?
Same old, double-digit wins, low side. I mean, just low side 10. With whatever at quarterback, and that's going to be the big question. But the early tough game against Texas will be at home. I know we missed last year. It was a lot of groupthink. It was unanimity of just copy and paste Georgia, Bama, and SEC championship game. We didn't get there. Got there on one side. It was fairly easy for them. Look, right now, if I'm holding the ballot come late July in Nashville and I got to vote East and West, I'm voting Bama, Georgia.
Yeah.
So you're not going to give them the bulletin board material that Georgia player said after the game. People were saying we were going to go 7-5. You're not going to give them that bulletin board material, Brett.
Who said that?
I don't know, but they made it up in their head, so they might make it up on both teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody had Georgia Southern going 7-5, much less the Georgia Bulldogs.
I had them 6-6, 500 even. No, I'm not going to give them that either.
And, Brian, a lot of times that's the motivation. Just go out and create it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, Jay Morgan, you know this, a lot of times coaches, they use the media to do that. They use the media for motivation, good or bad. And sometimes, and really the modern day motivational tactics, it really goes back to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl III and Joe Willie Namath guaranteeing we'll beat the Baltimore Colts.
Brett, let's talk a little bit about SEC basketball, too, with some games going off tonight, I believe, as well. One of them is going to be Tennessee and Vanderbilt, which you can listen to on 12:10 a.m. here. Either me or Bryant or his brother Connor Dake is going to be running that game tonight. But they play Vanderbilt tonight. Brett, you're well documented, and you and I have texted about this too. I just like Tennessee, but you very fairly just do not trust their offense. They couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat, and that might be putting it a little too nicely. What would you need to see from Tennessee down the stretch to give you more confidence? Would it just be more offensive prowess? Would they need to rattle off a bunch of these games one in a row, even in that low-scoring margin? What would give you more confidence in the Vols if you saw it?
Making shots. It's that simple. Orange ball through orange goal. You
from
have
orange
to score
team.
from the big orange. And we know Rick Barnes is a great coach, but we also know there may not be a coach with what I like to call the kind of those preferred seeds at 1 through 4 seeding on either side. So the teams predicted by the committee to go to the Sweet 16. It doesn't always work that way. We understand that. But those teams, the pressure, no coach may enter into this year's tournament with more pressure on him than Rick Barnes to perform. I mean, it is, and the Texas fans, you can complain that it didn't work with Shaka, and we know that Chris Beard's now come undone, and Texas is not probably their rightful basketball glory, but you look back in hindsight, probably right to move on from Rick Barnes in the name of shaking things up. Certainly not like he was mistreated by them, but because they want to do better. And now Tennessee's kind of having that same angst around him, like him, respect him, know how great a coach he is. We got to see you second weekend. Got to see you making some noise.
That's what we heard David Cobb say. I heard him say it with you guys, and I heard him say it with John yesterday, is that Tennessee fans, you would think they're a 500 basketball team right now, the way that they treat Rick Barnes and his lack of offense. Okay, well, let me ask you another question about the Vols then. So last night, A&M beats Auburn on their home floor last night. Auburn, a good team, but A&M's been a lot better even since playing Tigers earlier this year. Would you rank, so Alabama, I'm assuming, is your best team in the SEC. Would you say Tennessee is second, or do you tend to like A&M more, or somebody else that I didn't mention?
Oh, I would take Tennessee second and A&M third, and then it really gets into confusion. And I don't think I don't think the SEC is that great. I know you judge a league bottom up, not top down. Well, everybody's bottom it's not very, very, very appealing. It's South Carolina way down there, LSU average, Ole Miss almost unbelievable. They're not at the bottom, and got a little working margin last night for them. But then the top doesn't knock me over. But what league's top does this year, and it all looks like that. Kind of that hodgepodge. I think it will make for a great tournament. The tournament can't miss. It never does. Now, TV execs, as much as they prefer it for the brand names, KU, North Carolina, Kentucky, Duke, for those name brands, they may not get as appealing matchups. But I think for the people, we will get a great tournament. Maybe a lot of newer names. It's been one of my themes all year around college basketball. That we could get, finally get a first-time winner this year, a new champion, a team that's never won it before. Could even get new teams new to the Final Four that have never been there, like Tennessee, like Alabama, like Xavier. It's never been to a Final Four. I think that would make for a very appealing tournament. Purdue hadn't been since Joe Barry Carroll, in 1980 would be fun. So we're going to get that. But the SEC, it feels Bama, Tennessee, and then a pretty good drop off to kind of the A&M, I guess Auburn range. And look how good those wins for the Tigers look over both A&M and Auburn. Auburn at a neutral that wasn't neutral. That was Auburn House. And an A&M game right before Christmas here in Memphis at FedEx Forum that's really standing out now as an outstanding win for the Tigers. If you could just have back some of the free throw woes from Saturday against Tulane, it would be back to being on easier street. Yeah. And we'll talk about it a lot today. It's on perilous street, and everybody recognizes it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And another game from last night, speaking of two teams that are pretty much on the bubble and something that I didn't really expect, Arkansas going up to Lexington and just giving it to Kentucky, 88-73. Arkansas scored more than 40 points in both the first and second half. It really looked like Kentucky was kind of starting to turn a corner. They had won 8 straight SEC games going into this one. I mean, I really thought Kentucky was going to do something. What did you think about that loss at home against an Arkansas team that's really been up and down this season?
And not just a loss, Bryant, but a thumping.
Yeah.
I mean, Arkansas really put it to Kentucky, and nothing. In 100 years, it's still going to have the resonance of winning at Rupp. That's magical in a season and magic for a team. Everybody raise your hands that rode off Arkansas. All of them are up? Yeah. Everybody in their cars, keep your hands on the steering wheel. But we all did. Why did we? Why did I? I know better than that, because we know February, and really from this time on, that's the Eric Musselman push time. That's when he's really getting his team together. He Reggie Jackson was Mr. October. Eric Musselman is not Mr. January, not even close to it. But you get into February and you get really rounding your team into form and you get that rotation down. Jay Morgan, you know that the whole idea on opening night when we're talking only one ball, whatever team could run out 10 guys, 11 guys, 12 guys. No, you won't. Come tournament time, you get down to about 7 guys that you get in the foxhole with, and you don't need any more than that, because even these conference tournaments, but for sure the NC tournament, the breaks are so long. You're not sitting there winded like Nolan Richardson's 40 minutes of hell teams. You're not out of gas. You got plenty of time to recharge, and just the adrenaline of that moment of being in the NCAA tournament carries a lot of teams. But why are we surprised? I'm really mad at myself for kind of. I don't know if I went on the air with it, but I kind of wrote off Arkansas.
I think we all did.
Shot 67% from 2 last night. It's unbelievable.
Well, that'd win anywhere.
No kidding. No, you're absolutely right about that. You mentioned how exciting the tournament could be with all these teams that are very competitive. You mentioned some of the ones in the SEC. We talked the other day about the Big 12 has like maybe 8 tournament teams, for goodness sakes. Do you think, I know that you're not the biggest conference tournament guy, you like the big dance, and conference tournaments are kind of a lull after the regular season into the tournament. Do you think that could make conference tournaments exciting, though, because all of these leagues, there's not one standout, they all could be super competitive?
Well, I hope so. What makes conference conference tournament's great. It's the intrigue, and a lot of these bigger name. I love the conference tournament for the little guy, for the small. Often played in these little bandboxes, and the victory celebration to punch that ticket. One bid league, it, whether it's the NEC or some of these smaller leagues, the Horizon or Big Sky. I love those. But and I've enjoyed through the years going to bigger conference tournaments. Mm-hmm. There's just not a lot of drama at it.
Right.
I mean, you kind of know. I mean, so often a lot of those teams, they don't mind losing, especially on Saturday.
Longer break.
You can get home, get settled, watch Selection Sunday wherever at the facility or at the head coach's house, and you're kind of sitting back going, what are we, a 2 or a 3? Do we go what pod assignment? And the travel people sure love it because they can get them home and get set up for the next week. And even some of the fans can get home and get settled back in, like Kentucky fans that are so supportive of their team. Mm-hmm. I know they don't ever want to lose, but you can get back home and get ready to gear up for the big dance.
Yeah. And if you're a fan of another team at the SEC tournament after Kentucky loses, you can get a great price on a scalp ticket. That's
buyer's market.
That's a little inside source right there. Go ahead, Brian.
If Tennessee and Kentucky exited Nashville early, you could lay down at midcourt.
Yeah, really good.
Courtside seat for about $20.
All right. I used to love to do this when I knew Dave was away, and we know he's on a golf course day. All right, let's get it official, and you find out tomorrow. Let's find out. Guess the score, Brian, for Dave today. Guess the score.
I'm gonna be kind to him. 68.
Oh,
you have him going under par.
Yeah,
he's 68 after 15.
I want to be. I want to be in good. I want
to
be in good graces of Dave Woloshins.
I don't. 83.
I was going to say 82, Brett. We're on the same length. I'll give him an 82. That's a good score, though.
And when you tell him I did this to him, you go, yeah, of course, Brett came on Wolo and Friends and was very unfriendly.
I don't know if you're unfriendly. You're wishing him well. You didn't give him under par like I did, but.
Well, Brett, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to talk to you. Of course, everyone will hear you later on Sports Time with Brian and myself. We'll all three be there today. So if you liked what you got in this segment, you're going to get more of it day 3 to 6.
You're going to really love it at 3.
That's right. Thanks so much, Brett.
Thank you, fellas.
We're going to take a break. We're going to come back and preview the Tiger game tonight. Back after this.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We told you this was going to happen, and now it has. The floor model sale is happening at Family Leisure. Lowest prices of the year on pool tables, on those wonderful spas, on patio furniture, state-of-the-art, and, of course, the game tables. Floor model arcades are now starting at $1,200. It's your last chance for a 2022 pool. And floor model trampolines are only $2,100. That's the installed price. Family Leisure, I-40 and Wooden Road, where family and fun come together. I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet. Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshин here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends right at the corner of Highway 78, Lamar, and the first exit in Mississippi, Craft Road. They always come up with some innovative program that makes you want to just go out and get your brand new car. And I'm talking Hyundais. Right now, you can get a new Santa Fe. You can get a new Tucson. You can get any brand new Hyundai, state-of-the-art technology. You can get that without paying for 3 months. You've heard me correctly. You can get a brand new Hyundai and not pay for 90 days. This just started. It's going all the way through January. You could say a Christmas present, a holiday present from Homer Skelton Hyundai. Again, make your deal, and then don't worry for 90 days about paying the very first payment, and only at Homer Skelton Hyundai.
This is Sheldon Rosengarten with Marks Bensdorf Realtors, and the market is starting to crank back up. While we had a slowdown late last year, the rates are coming down, and I'm seeing multiple offers again. And if you want to participate in 2023, think of me. Do not list your home without talking to 2 to 3 real estate brokers, and make sure that Kelly Erb and I are one of them. I've had people say that I must feel confident to tell people that, and yes, I do. We have a highly successful strategic marketing program that can make the difference in how much you make and when. Find out why people often say that when you want the job done, call Sheldon at 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Or you can also call my marketing partner, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830 or Sheldon at MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. Remember, call me, Kelly Erb, at 355-3830.
Progressive presents Adjusting to the Suburbs. You just bought a home in the suburbs, but no one told you about all the birds, specifically this one, who seems to be calling out Roy. Roy. But who exactly is Roy? And why doesn't he ever respond? Maybe Roy is just bird speak for save with Progressive by bundling your home and auto. I guess until Roy answers, we'll never know. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company. Coverage provided in service by affiliates and third-party insurers.
Shop, compare, and save from hundreds of experts to turn your dream home into a reality. We have everything to help you remodel, refresh, and beautify your home inside and out. So come on out to the Home Show of the Mid-South, February 10th through the 12th at the Agri Center. You'll find special show pricing on kitchens, baths, patios and landscaping, flooring, cabinets, windows, roofing. It's all at the Home Show of the Mid-South, February 10th through the 12th at the Agri Center. For more info, visit memphishomeshow.com. That's memphishomeshow.com.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Dave Woloshin out. I have to turn on my microphone to talk.
Yeah.
Dave Woloshin out. He'll be back tomorrow. He's in Tampa today. You can hear him tonight call the game on the radio, Memphis and USF. We're going to preview that in a second. Bryant LeBron broke the record for most points scored in the history of the NBA last night.
Mm-hmm. It's fun.
I think you'll hear enough talking about that everywhere else, though. So let's talk about the Tigers and the USF Bulls.
That's what people
tonight.
are really here for.
That's what they're
Tiger
listening for.
talk.
I do have opinions about it, but no one cares what I have to say about it. The Tigers,
See,
though,
Phil
tonight
Knight was the only person in the picture that did not have their phone out recording
he's
it.
an old guy.
He's just sitting there watching it by LeBron's kids.
And his son even had his phone out.
Oh, everybody had their phones out.
Be in the
It's
moment,
big.
kids.
Yeah, I mean, this is a moment that's going to be etched into your brain forever.
Well, now you have a personal video of it forever.
Yeah, but what happens when you change phones?
Nowadays, all that stuff's in the cloud.
That's true. Back in my day, you had to send it to yourself.
How old are you?
22. All right, to the Tigers.
The Tigers play at South Florida tonight. South Florida gave them kind of a run for their money at home.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up winning that game somewhat comfortably. Is that right?
Yeah. So,
but Tyler Harris had like 20-some-odd points, and he scored 30-some-odd points in multiple games this year, right?
Well, yeah, and the biggest thing about that, the final score was 93-86, so I guess you could say somewhat comfortably. But the biggest thing about that game is Tyler Harris was really quiet in the first half.
And then turned it
on.
on?
And then turned it on in the second half, finished with 17 or however many he finished with. But this is a USF team that really hurt the Tigers with the three ball in the first game, and it was guys hitting threes that weren't Tyler Harris. And, of course, everyone knows Tyler Harris as being the three-point shooter from his time at Memphis. So, I mean, we've talked about that three-point shooting defense being an issue for the Tigers, and it could certainly be an issue again tonight. They were 9 for 23, but a lot of the threes that they did make were early in the game. So, I don't know, on the road.
Wow,
easy.
Scored 33 at home against UCF.
And 31 against Houston, right?
31 against Houston. He had 4. I'm going his last 4 games here.
Yeah.
He only had 4 on the road against Temple. That's kind of an outlier, certainly an outlier.
Certainly.
Because the next game he played SMU and had 23, and then had 21 at home against East Carolina. So Tyler Harris is a guy that could really get off. And on the road, he's obviously excited about this game. Ken Pomeroy has Memphis winning by 6. Greg Peterson, I also believe, you said has Memphis winning by 6. What's the line on this game?
6. When I woke up this morning, it was 6, yeah. I don't know if it's changed since.
What do you anticipate to see tonight? Give me a key to the game as you see it.
Key to the game for the Tigers, I think, is just kind of fix what they did wrong against Temple. Not turn the ball over, don't give USF more opportunities than they need, and also knock down your free throws. Free for a reason.
But that's a general key that you can say for every Tiger game.
Yeah, I think against South Florida, I mean, it's this is going to be a game where if you can get out early and kind of jump on it, because that's kind of been something I've noticed about the Tigers this year, is they'll start the game hot, they'll get out to a 7 to 10 point lead, and then they'll let the opposing team get right back into it. That's what they did with UCF last game. They were up by about 10, and then USF hit like 2 or 3 threes back to back to back. You don't want to do that, especially when you're on the road. Get up big and just kind of keep that game in a comfortable lead and make this an easy win, because I think the Tigers need an easy win after kind of some of the games they've gone through.
Their defense against the three-point line, teams are shooting 32% from there from 3. That's 59th best in the country. So they've actually been guarding the 3 better because that was one of the problems early in the season, wasn't it?
Well, earlier in conference play, it was an issue.
They're 5th in the league in defending the three-point line. So I guess compared to that, that's not ideal. Also, they shoot 32% themselves from 3. So if you lose that 3-point battle, those are free points that you're giving them, and you're not getting them back at the free throw line either. But what does USF do? Go ahead, say what you were going to say.
Well, I would just say, I mean, you have, though, at the same time, while the Tigers haven't been a great 3-point shooting team, you've kind of started to see some guys emerge. We talked about Keontae Kennedy, how he shot really well from 3 against Tulane, but just couldn't hit that final shot. And then you've got Jaden Hardaway, who's come back from injury and has knocked down a couple shots here and there. So I think you're kind of finding some shooters from 3, but you really haven't seen it consistent for a long period of time yet.
What does USF do well? I'm looking at their KenPom's website right now. It says they rebound the ball on offense really well, and that's one of Memphis's weaknesses. Tell me what USF does well other than that, or is that the thing?
Yeah, no, they do that really well. The last game, their center did not play. But
neither did Memphis's.
But I think
he's not back tonight.
Who?
Dandridge and Lomax neither back.
I don't expect Dandridge definitely Lomax not. I don't expect Dandridge to play. So that could be an issue inside rebounding, because we've seen that since Dandridge has been out. That's been a problem. And I mean, other than that, I mean,
they don't do much well.
They don't do anything crazy. But I do think if they can get those offensive rebounds and second chance points, that could be an issue for the Tigers. I said it on Sports Time with Brett a couple days ago, is that I don't expect the Tigers to lose this game, but this isn't a game that I'm expecting that they can go down there and sleepwalk through either. I think this could be, I mean, like you said, KenPom has it a 6-point game. Greg Peterson has it a 6-point game. I think this could be get a little nervous during this game at some points.
10 seconds here. Tigers win by how much?
6.
6 even.
6 even.
Johnny Radio next.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Woloshin here for Homer Skelton Hyundai. I love to brag about my friends. Right at the corner of Highway 7